Hey, Mike here. I just wanted to let you know that you can listen to Dark Poutine early and ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime.
You're about to listen to a historical episode of Dark Poutine. After episode 149, you will find Scott is no longer with the show. In an effort to maintain continuity and offer listeners as many episodes as possible, we are leaving the episodes in which he co-hosted intact. Thank you.
Welcome to Dark Poutine. I'm Mike Brown, creator and host. With me as usual is my good friend and co-host Scott Hemingway. Say hello, Scott.
And hello, everybody.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, is that all you're going to do?
I was speaking bird.
The views, information, and opinions expressed during the Dark Poutine podcast are solely those of the producer and do not necessarily represent those of Curious Cast, its affiliate Global News, nor their parent company, Chorus Entertainment.
Dark Poutine is not for the faint of heart or squeamish. Listener discretion is strongly advised. We're not experts on the topics we present, nor are we journalists. We're two ordinary Canadians chatting about crime and the dark side of history. Let's get to it. Put on your toque, grab yourself a double-double and a Nanaimo bar. It's time to scarf down some Dark Poutine. Before we get started, we wanted to remind you of our upcoming live show at the Rio Theatre during the Vancouver Podcast Festival. And that's at 10 p.m. on November 9th, 2019. That's the Rio Theatre in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. You can get your tickets by going to the website for the Vancouver Podcast Festival. Just Google that.
And do it and get them. My hands are currently clasped below my chin.
He's praying.
I'm praying.
And Scott does not pray easily.
Nope. I'm essentially begging that you come. I want to see you. I want to see you all.
We want to look out into the audience and see seats with people in them.
Because, you know, there's not a hell of a lot worse than looking out and like tumbleweeds going across the chairs.
And just my wife just staring blankly at her.
Yeah. Oh no, she'll be on her phone. I mean, she'll be on Facebook. This sucks.
Exactly. So this is episode 96, Broken Arrow, Bomber 075, and the Missing Nuke.
Mm-hmm. That's 69 backwards, by the way.
96? Mm-hmm. Okay. Folks who were children in the years between the late 1940s and the 80s grew up during what was called the Cold War.
Yeah,
between the U.S. and her NATO allies in the West and USSR and the Eastern Bloc countries under the Warsaw Pact in the East.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I was not born in the 40s, but I absolutely remember the Cold War. I remember movies like The Day After.
Yep.
Coming out and
Threads.
Being terrified that.
Well, we're going to talk about that kind of stuff as we go.
Good.
So, with that Cold War came the nuclear arms race, where the two superpowers, Soviet Russia and the United States, tried to one-up each other, stockpiling massive numbers of nukes to get ahead of their opponent in a numbers game.
Which really, that race is one where there are no winners.
No. The end is mutually assured destruction.
Yes, exactly. This is a race you don't want to win.
No.
Everybody loses.
Also, along with that came increasingly deadly, accurate, long-range missiles capable of circumnavigating the globe to annihilate the enemy on the other side.
It's just nothing but comforting.
Nothing but comforting. Yeah. The United States was the first country to develop and only one to ever utilize nuclear weapons in the act of war, prompting the Japanese to surrender after the devastating bombings of their two cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, in August of 1945.
It's really hard to process that actually happened.
It really did.
Yeah. Imagine that taking place now.
Hiroshima was the first city bombed with a nuke.
Mm-hmm.
The 15-kiloton bomb called Little Boy airburst over the city after being dropped by the crew of the USAF B-29 bomber named Enola Gay on the morning of August 6, 1945 at 8:15 a.m. So everybody's going to work.
Just waking
Kids
up,
are
getting ready to head. Yep. Going to school.
Well, I don't know if school is going on in Japan on August 6th. I don't know how their school year looks, but I assume that's what was going on.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and then blammo.
Just living your life.
Just living your life.
Just living your life. And then all of a sudden, what the F?
Yeah. Big flash.
Yep.
Little Boy's blast leveled everything within 1.8 kilometers of ground zero. It killed 66,000 people directly and injured another 69,000 people.
Jesus.
3 days later, the USAF Boxcar, another B-29, dropped the 20-kiloton Fat Boy on Nagasaki, killing 40,000 in the initial blast. And apparently there were fewer casualties because Nagasaki is in a valley, and so it absorbed more of the blast that way.
Okay.
Yeah. Many more died later on of diseases caused by radiation exposure.
Mm-hmm.
The risk of cancers, especially leukemia, went up significantly for those who were exposed to radiation from the explosions.
Oh, I would imagine. It's impossible to calculate the actual death toll
Yeah.
because of how long, people may have survived from 40 years before falling, passing away due to the radiation.
So seeing the power capable of the atomic bomb, the Soviets went to work quickly on their own nuclear program. They tested their first weapon, called First Lightning, at Semipalatinsk on August 29th, 1949. And the race was on after that.
Yep.
In the early 50s, both countries initiated work on extremely more devastating weapons. The largest nuclear weapon ever detonated was dropped by a Tu-95V Soviet long-range bomber. It was predicted that the crew on board only had a 50-50 chance of survival.
So that,
because they couldn't get away fast enough.
They knew this going into it?
Going into it.
Holy shit.
The bomb was codenamed Big Ivan, or the King of Bombs, Tsar Bomba. It weighed 27 metric tons, or 59,525 pounds, and it was 26 feet in length and 6.9 feet in diameter.
Holy
so this
shit.
was huge.
Yeah.
From atomicheritage.org, on October 30th, 1961, Tsar Bomba was detonated in the atmosphere at 11:32 Moscow time over the Mityushishka Bay nuclear testing range in the northern Arctic Circle. The bomb was set by barometric sensors to detonate at 13,000 feet and was dropped from a height of 34,000 feet. The Tsar Bomba yield was approximately 1,570 times more powerful than the yield of the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined.
Shit.
And 10 times more powerful than all of the conventional weapons exploded during World War II.
Jesus Christ.
Every single bomb. 10 times more. Tsar Bomba also represented 25% of the estimated yield of the Krakatoa volcanic eruption of 1883, that eruption that caused the loudest sound, as we talked about in our episode on Tunguska. And it was 10% of all nuclear tests by this point.
Shit.
Right? End quote. The maximum design yield of that bomb was a whopping 100 megatons.
Oh my God.
But the bomb the Soviets tested was equivalent to a measly 57 megatons. So they could have made a bigger explosion if they had really wanted to.
Holy shit.
Over the years between 1950 and the 2000s, there have been upward of 30 incidents and close calls involving nuclear weapons that could have ended very badly. The most famous of these is the Damascus incident. From an article on interestingengineering.com, quote, on September 19, 1980, near Damascus, Arkansas, crewmen were performing maintenance on a Titan II intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM. A crewman accidentally dropped a wrench into the silo and it punctured the missile's fuel tank. The missile leaked fuel for over 8 hours before finally exploding, killing one and injuring 21 others. The blast destroyed the entire compound, but the nuclear warhead was recovered intact.
Holy shit.
Talk about a close call.
My God.
Oops.
Oh, this poor guy. Just like,
I dropped the wrench.
What was it? Wasn't there a movie recently or something? I was just watching something recently about that.
That's a documentary.
No, I think it was a dramatization that I watched. But yeah, I can drop a lot of things at my job. Nothing's going to explode.
It's just not going to be a nuclear explosion.
Yeah. Jesus, talk about pressure.
No kidding. The second incident that many will remember is that of the Kursk, a nuclear-powered Oscar-class Russian submarine that sank during maneuvers after being hit by a practice torpedo. It had 118 sailors on board in the Barents Sea on August 12, 2000. To many of the families, rescue response by the Russian government was much too slow. It's believed that many of the sailors would have survived in airtight compartments away from the explosion for days afterward, but that's disputed by Russian officials. When the Russians were asked whether or not there were nuclear weapons aboard the Kursk, they simply said, yes, there were. And followed that by saying there was nothing to worry about.
Of course. Well, did it become fact that it was hit by a practice torpedo? Or is that more of the
official story?
Is that more of the there's nothing to worry about?
Nothing to worry about.
You don't know.
You look this way. I don't think you look that way. It's not smart.
Pay no attention to the nuclear vessel.
No attention to nuclear vessel. You may be asking by now, like, how does Canada fit into this?
Mike, how does Canada fit into this?
Well, now that you ask, we have to go all the way back to the very first incident, which could be called a broken arrow,
which, the first.
According to Wiktionary, is a U.S. military euphemism for, quote, an accidental event that involves nuclear weapons or nuclear components but does not create the risk of a nuclear war.
And also a stellar, was it a Nick Cage movie? Or was that Christian Slater? I think it was Christian Slater in it.
Nick Cage was in it too.
Maybe him and Christian Slater.
Oh, I thought John Travolta was in Broken Arrow.
Fuck, I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah. It was a cinematic masterpiece.
So the first loss of a nuclear weapon happened right here in British Columbia.
This is correct.
The public knew of the incident, that there was a plane crash.
Yeah.
But they had no idea until years after what the U.S. military was up to or what Bomber 075 had on board.
Yeah. It's such a terrifying thought, and we'll get it.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
With the Cold War came readiness to react in case of attack. Part of the readiness for the United States were long-range bombers. Mm-hmm. The one we're about to introduce you to was a Convair B36 Peacemaker, which is an ironic name for a nuclear bomber, a model of intercontinental bomber operated by the United States Air Force from 1949 to 1959. It was massive, with a 70-meter wingspan,
Jeez.
The widest of any warplane ever built, and was the largest piston-driven plane ever, built with 6 engines.
Jeez.
These planes were equipped with 4 bomb bays, built specifically to carry atomic weapons. It was eventually replaced by the B-52, which started its missions in 1952. On the day before Valentine's Day, 1950, a crew of 17 total boarded the B-36 Air Force serial number 44-92075, belonging to the 436th Squadron of the Strategic Air Command. Their mission,
what was it?
That day was a 24-hour-long, non-stop simulated bombing run from Ellison Air Force Base near Fairbanks, Alaska. Southern California and San Francisco were set to play the Soviet Union in an exercise. No bombs were to be dropped in these runs.
Phew.
And they had done these hundreds of times. According to Dirk Septer's book, Lost Nuke, so many missions had been run that, quote, San Francisco had been bombed 600 times in a month.
Really?
End quote.
That's a lot of flights.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these bombers are practicing all the time.
Yeah.
And the residents had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
It's like,
now,
we've been bombed 600 times.
Now I'm going to question every jet I hear flying over.
You probably should. Even though this was an exercise, Bomber 075 was equipped with 250 pounds of 20mm ammunition for their guns. They also had a more ominous passenger on board, with 2 specialists to deal with it. According to the radio operator, it was the size of a Volkswagen. It was a Mark IV atomic bomb, a Fat Man, the very same kind of bomb that had been dropped on Nagasaki.
Now, do we get into why they needed to have that on there? Because it just seems like you're just opening up a potential disaster. Like, does it need to actually be?
I don't know.
on these
Maybe
test runs?
they have it for their test runs just in case they're called into service.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah.
Like you're in the middle of your test run. It's like, oh, you know what? We need to divert you.
Yeah, you probably don't have time to go and try to fly back. And okay, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Bomber 075's final destination was to be their home base at Carswell Air Force Base outside of Fort Worth, Texas. According to a 1993 article by Dirk Septer in BC Aviator magazine, trouble began a quarter of the way into the flight, so about 6 hours. It was extremely cold, and the B-36 began icing up badly due to freezing rain outside. Even their instruments began to malfunction.
Great sign.
Not good.
Great sign.
The first distress call indicating issues due to ice came around 11:25 p.m.
So it's one thing I've learned already through this is I thought the plane was going the other way. I thought it was coming from the U.S.
Nope. It was
through Canada to Alaska.
Nope. It was coming back.
Okay, interesting.
So it was coming down the coast.
Yeah.
And they hadn't planned to enter Canadian airspace at all.
Oh, okay.
It just ends up that that's what happened. A second, more urgent message came soon after the first one. And it goes this way.
One engine on fire. Contemplate ditching in Queen Charlotte Sound between Queen Charlotte Island and Vancouver Island. Keep a careful lookout for flares of wreckage.
It just makes it up. Car's breaking down. We're gonna pull over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of not like that.
No, you have a engine on fire.
You have a multi-thousand-ton plane with 6 engines.
Carrying
A bomb.
what kind?
A nuclear bomb.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna pull over. We got a flat.
Out of the 6 engines, 3 were on fire and a 4th was not running due to a clogged fuel line.
Oh my shit.
The heavy bomber was losing altitude and nothing the crew did would keep her in the air long enough to land safely.
Oh my god.
The plane was going down just south of Prince Rupert.
Imagine being one of the individuals on this plane, eh?
Yeah, one of the 17 guys.
You've got so many things to contemplate. Like, well, a plane crashing, you typically aren't going to survive that. Yeah. But should you, there's a potential.
Yeah.
Nuclear explosion.
So you know what's going on. Everybody's getting their Mae West parachutes on.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to go.
Yeah, I would imagine.
The first order of business, though, for the specialists was to disarm the bomb that they had on board.
What a job that is. You're like, we're crashing. Shit, I still have to work.
The men assigned to the task busied themselves doing just that. This would include removing the plutonium core, if one existed on the plane. That's the piece that causes the actual nuclear chain reaction between the explosives and uranium casing contained in the bomb.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that.
According to Dirk Septer in his book Lost Nuke, it's unclear whether that task was actually completed.
Eesh.
Quote, on the order of the bomb commander, the Mark IV bomb was dropped from the aircraft with the intent that it be destroyed over the Queen Charlotte Sound at an altitude of 3,000 feet. Flight engineer Cox reported observing a bright flash followed by a loud sound and a shock wave. End quote.
So, okay.
Yep.
So they actually...
They had to drop it.
All right.
But there's more to this story. We're not even remotely close to finished.
Okay.
The experienced pilot, Captain Harold L. Barry, made the call, and their last radio message came around 11:40 p.m. They were bailing out.
Okay, well...
Barry then called for his crew to, quote, abandon ship at an altitude of about 5,000 feet. From Dirk Scepter's Lost Nuke, quote, to save his crew from drowning in the frigid Pacific Ocean, and with a bomb now destroyed, Barry had violated standing orders and turned the giant bomber east toward the Canadian mainland, according to Cox. Just before he ditched, Barry turned off the aircraft's radar signals to prevent disclosure of its position and set the automatic pilot to accomplish a gentle turn back out toward the Pacific.
So why shut off the radar?
He was doing something that was against the rules.
But if you're planning on surviving, that's going to be found out anyways.
Yep. But maybe not. If the plane ends up in the ocean, it's not going to be found out.
But you will have been found on land.
Oh, well.
And trying to, you can plot the...
I don't know how much time he had to ponder this, Scott.
Maybe nobody will notice.
Parachuting onto land would give a higher chance of survival than dropping
Sure.
into the Pacific Ocean on a cold winter night where drowning was not the only danger.
Guaranteed.
Hypothermia and death would follow quickly in the frigid water.
Yeah. This isn't Hawaii, our beaches and our ocean.
Before bailing, the radio operator, quote, tied down the transmitter key to produce a steady signal. This would enable rescue units to get a quick fix on the bomber's last position.
Okay.
So,
All right.
even though the captain turned off the radar, the radio guy just keyed the mic and then tied it down.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they could triangulate the position that way.
Which is the right thing to do.
But that's not what happened anyway.
Oh.
Soon after midnight, Captain Barry was the last to bail out of Bomber 075, leaving it to its fate, hopefully a harmless crash somewhere in Queen Charlotte Sound.
Well, I mean...
Not only was the concern for the crewmen, but for the nuke and nuclear material that had been aboard Bomber 075, which the Canadian authorities were shocked to learn about from their U.S. counterparts.
I'd say.
A massive search for men and nuke had to be undertaken right away. U.S. Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and the Royal Canadian Air Force, Canadian Coast Guard, civil vessels, and ground searchers, including many members of the local indigenous population, all went to work looking for the downed bomber and her crew in what was called Operation Brix, and Brix is spelled B-R-I-X. They scoured the area by air, sea, and ground, using as many available resources as possible. And if you know that area, it is very remote.
Very remote and very large.
A day and a half later, the first two survivors were found shivering around a small fire on Princess Royal Island near the shore. Further down the island, another 7 men were found grouped around another small fire. All were wet, cold, and hungry, but relatively okay, considering their ordeal.
Yeah.
An 8th, Staff Sergeant Vitaly Tripody, was inland 3 miles and unable to walk. A search party set out to find him. Tripody had a badly injured foot from a rough parachute landing that had him caught in a tree and hung upside down.
Oh, shit.
His fellow crew members cut him down and wrapped him in parachutes to keep him warm while they went to the coast for help. Dirk Scepter's Lost Nuke quoted the grateful airman, quote, I lay there in that ice and snow for a day or two until I was found by a Canadian rescue team who got me to a ship, Tripodi recalled. These Canadians who picked me up were the swellest people I ever met. The first thing they did was give me morphine to kill the pain in my foot, then I drank all their cocoa, end quote.
All of it.
It sounds like a grandpa thing to say.
It really does.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. And they were the sweetest, the swellest people. They gave me morphine and
then
cocoa.
And cocoa.
Wow.
It's a fun day if you've had morphine and cocoa.
It almost sounds worth losing a nuke over.
Morphine and cocoa.
Eh.
As the search dragged into the third day, time and weather were a concern regarding the lives of the 7 remaining crew from Bomber 075. By the 15th, 12 of the 17 had been found, but deep, falling snow, cold, and a massive search area thwarted the efforts of the searchers.
It's not an area you want to be lost.
Princess Royal Island is not exactly a tiny rock in the middle of the ocean. It has an area of 2,250 square kilometers. It's uninhabited, densely forested, and only accessible by boat or plane, and full of rocks.
Sounds great.
Great. It was strongly believed that 4 of the missing airmen had bailed out too far over the water to be rescued, and the 5th might have died somewhere in the brush. Searching began to ramp down in the weeks following, finally ending on March 10th, 1950. The 5 men remained missing and were presumed deceased.
Yeah.
From Dirk Scepter's Lost Nuke. Quote, Operation Bricks had covered approximately 25,000 square miles.
Wow.
A total of 40 aircraft had been involved in the search, including 7 consolidated PBY Catalinas, 2 Douglas C-47 Dakotas. We talked about those C-47s before. A Nordian Norseman, a Beech 18 Expediter, 2 Sikorsky S-51 helicopters, and an Avro Lancaster from the RCAF. During this operation, the RCAF motor launches Huron and Montagne were employed for 21 and 17 days respectively. Supply vessel Songhe clocked 253 hours during 30 days on Operation Bricks. End quote. So the search for the bomber was an expensive one.
Yeah.
On many levels. Scepter also mentions that a B-29 that had been involved in the search crashed near its base in Montana, killing 8 of its 15 crew who had gone back to refuel and rejoin in the second day of the search.
Shit, I had no idea about that.
Yeah, so other people died trying to rescue these guys.
Well, it's what makes search so difficult. Be it military or just somebody lost in the woods, is that it's very dangerous. And don't take risks because people could die just trying to save you from. Yeah. So, and this is the perfect example.
Aside from the missing crewmen, where was the plane? And what had become of the remains of the bomb?
Well, it's a great question.
And we'll take a break right here and come back with the conclusion of that.
That's good to hear.
And we're back. All the searches for the wreckage of the bomber in the areas predicted turned up nothing. There was no trace of Bomber 075.
And so
people saw like an oil slick here in the water, and they thought, okay, maybe it's there. There was just no sign of the bomber. It was gone.
So I might not have caught it, but was the pilot one of the surviving people?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm hoping he would be like, well, here's where I told it to go.
Yeah, which is why they were looking in that place.
Yeah, because his thinking is water.
Yep,
that's where he set it to go.
The wreckage of Bomber 075 was discovered accidentally more than 3 years later during the search for another missing aircraft.
Oh,
on the 17th of August 1953, a de Havilland DH-104 Dove 2A, flown by a Texas oilman named Ellis, left Ketchikan, Alaska, for Bellingham, Washington, the same airport Carol and I flew from to and from Vegas.
Yes, it's where I've also caught the Vegas flight.
The plane, with Ellis, his wife, 2 daughters, and a 17-year-old young man, did not arrive in Bellingham, so everybody goes to work looking for it. The first search for that plane up and down the coast from Alaska, across BC, and into Washington did not turn up any sign of that plane. But there was wreckage discovered 350 kilometers north of the Princess Royal Island and almost 200 kilometers inland on Mount Colleget, a remote spot around 100 kilometers northwest of Hazelton, BC, at about 6,000 feet above sea level was what was left of Bomber 075. So it had flown for another 350 kilometers.
Yes.
All by itself. All by itself. And they had bailed at 5,000 feet, and somehow it ended up at 6,000 feet above sea level. Right?
So amazing. And I'm trying to picture like the people who found it. Like, I'm wondering if they immediately knew, like, oh, this must be said broken arrow.
They had to determine by the size of the wreckage that it was, in fact, that. And
then once you realize that, you're like, well, I'm not checking it out.
Well, yeah. Well, there were a lot of pieces and those kind of things. But anyway, Oilman Ellis's plane was eventually found 35 miles east of Ketchikan, Alaska, just so you know. All aboard had perished in that crash.
I was wondering. That's terrible.
It took 4 attempts to reach Bomber 075 on foot. They could see it from the air. They could reach it from the air, but there was no way for them to get a team to it because the terrain was so treacherous.
Yeah, and, their GPS wasn't a thing.
No, it wasn't. They knew where it was, though.
Yeah.
They could read a map and do coordinates on a map.
Fine. But no, the terrain must be ridiculous there.
Mm-hmm. They wanted to recover anything sensitive.
Yeah.
Obviously, explosives, if there were any.
Uh-huh.
And the personal effects of the crew. It was also important to resolve what exactly had taken place on the flight, what brought the plane down. As well, to prevent the remains from falling into the wrong hands, they were supposed to blow the plane up when they found it.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. So in August of 1954, according to Dirk Scepter's Lost Nuke, former HMCS Cayuga radio operator Percy Lotzer, now working for a water bomber company, remembers the events that took place in Smithers, which was the staging point for searchers before moving on to Hazleton and eventually the wreck of Bomber 075.
Good old Smithers.
Smithers was invaded by a large contingent of U.S. Air Force aircraft and helicopters, he recalled. A shroud of secrecy was wrapped around this event.
Just imagine the confusion and curiosity and speculation amongst the Smithers citizens.
Yep, and there was a lot of that.
No kidding.
For 9 days, the team undertook their recovery and the operation to destroy the remains of the plane. There was not much left of it to begin with, but they were looking for something extremely important, too. From Lost Nuke, quote, USAF servicemen had told Smithers resident Marcella Love that they were looking for, quote, an object about the size of an 8-inch ball contained in a lead box. It was of the utmost importance to recover it, and if the thing exploded, it would take the whole Kispiox Valley with it. According to local resident Harry Kisbrink, he also noted that Marcella's sister-in-law Ruth Love independently confirmed the description of what the Americans sought.
Like, I hate laughing because I'm not trying to be like, oh, this is hilarious. Well, I'm just trying to imagine hearing that. It's like there's a ball 8 inches around, and just be careful because it could blow up this whole area.
Although she later changed her story, and nobody knows why, Marcella was said to mention the 8-inch lead ball was a rumor around the area that she'd heard.
Mm-hmm.
This 8-inch ball most likely referred to the missing plutonium core, or pit, that U.S. authorities claimed was not on board Bomber 075. Folks in Smithers in the early 1950s would not have been educated on the construction of nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
So this would have been a fantastical thing to have been made up.
Well, I'm sure, yeah.
So someone in the know, probably one of the U.S. soldiers, had been running their mouth.
Yeah, I can't, and this is where, I struggle with conspiracies. Because just something like this, in a small town, somebody's going to run their mouth.
Yeah.
People can't keep secrets. They're terrible.
Hey, lady, you want to hear a story? Guess what? We're looking for an 8-inch lead ball that may contain plutonium and could blow the crap out of this place.
Have you seen it?
Can I have another beer? Holy crap. Can you imagine?
And I'm sure that they probably wouldn't even know what the fuck plutonium is.
No.
In Smith. And so essentially they're thinking like an alien crashed.
Pretty much.
An alien crashed and their weapon will blow us all up.
If the core had actually been aboard, this meant that the Mark IV bomb may have been fully operational at some point, and thanks to the weapons experts on the mission, it had actually been disarmed prior to being dropped, because the resulting explosion with the core in place would have been a much more devastating and obviously an atomic blast.
Mm-hmm.
The public has yet to be made aware whether the plutonium core was on the plane or not, nor has any information been made public about whether it was ever recovered or not. It's a frightening thought that there could still be a highly radioactive chunk of plutonium laying in the Pacific after being jettisoned by a flight crew, or somewhere in the BC wilderness waiting for someone to discover it while they're hunting bunnies.
You're saying this is like now?
Yes, right now.
Jesus.
Some don't believe it existed, but many who know the story well do believe that it was there.
Holy shit.
According to Lost Nuke, 4 detonation plugs only used in a live nuke were discovered on the plane. The manifest of the bomber's load list mentions an 11,000-pound item, the Fat Man bomb, and also a 67-pound item locked away in its own compartment.
Oh, well, it's probably just like somebody's luggage.
This manifest does not specifically identify what this item was, but its weight is, quote, in the exact right range for a plutonium core, said an expert. They wouldn't mention it unless it was important. This is actually the first item on the list under cargo and miscellaneous.
Holy
Just
Jesus.
a 67-pound
Plutonium core.
Plutonium core.
Yeah, no big deal.
That's all it is.
It's no big
Where
deal.
is it today, Scott?
I don't know, but how much do they go for on
Nobody
the black
knows.
market?
Oh, exactly. Pieces of the story continue to trickle out. For example, a recently declassified document indicates there was actually a body found amid the wreckage. So who was it, and why had he stayed aboard?
Holy crap.
What do you think about this story, Scott?
Oh, so many things.
Right?
My first thought is, can we get to this wreckage site?
Well, if they had trouble getting there in 1959...
We could probably walk there.
No, I think you and I would have definitely... well-trained soldiers in 1959. Men who were through World War II.
Yeah. I see what you get.
Mike and Scott, Fat Man and Little Boy.
But
Yeah, that's not going to go so
that
good.
would be the name of our documentary. Finding
Should be.
So is there still wreckage there? Or
Yeah,
did
the
they, in
wreckage
fact,
still... The people take pictures.
so they haven't blown it up?
They blew up parts of it. But,
Interesting.
mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So my gut is telling me they know where the core is.
I don't know.
My gut is telling me that it was probably...
There are stories about somebody who recently went to hunting in the area and happened to be a compatriot of Dick Cheney. And this was during the Bush presidency.
Oh,
And saw the pictures at a local business.
yeah.
And questioned the people in a very authoritarian way about had they ever found anything or seen anything.
Well, see, so my gut is telling me that the crew yoinked that plutonium core and shoved it out of the plane and into the ocean.
Hopefully. But,
That's
if they
what-
did that, though, it's still there in the ocean somewhere.
Yeah.
In 2016, someone thought they had found a part of the bomb in the ocean, but it turned out to be part of some machinery.
Oh,
But
okay.
it wasn't the bomb.
Because that, like, and perhaps the crew, for whatever reason, because maybe they breached some protocol, just swore to never tell the truth about it.
Yeah.
Because that would
Maybe the guy who they found in the wreckage was the guy who was supposed to deal with that.
maybe, and because that would.
Maybe he opened the box by accident.
Oh shit! And that would explain why the military was searching for it,
Right.
but can't find it. Because you would think there's got to be some plutonium Geiger counter. There's got to be some.
Well, yeah, there are Geiger counters.
Yeah. Well, but you would think there's got to be some kind. It's 2019. There's got to be.
It was in a lead case, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The case would probably break open upon.
Well, how do you know?
Are
you an expert in plutonium cores?
So what I haven't ever told you is my free time I build lead cases.
Great.
Yeah.
So Canada, for those who are unaware, and some of our younger listeners may be entirely unaware of this,
I bet you.
We do have a history with nuclear weapons.
Yep.
It's quite an extensive one, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, Canada was not always
nuclear weapon free.
And I think that may be a shock to a lot of our younger listeners.
After the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, the U.S. set plans in motion to fortify its defenses. On New Year's Eve 1963, CFB North Bay, Ontario, received what is believed to be Canada's first shipment of U.S.-made nuclear warheads for use on Beaumark missiles stationed nearby. Protesters who knew of the delivery and photographers were present covering the event. So, yes, it happened.
Yeah, and a quick thing on the Cuban Missile Crisis. That must have been a terrifying period to live through, Mike.
Totally.
Yeah. You must have been scared.
I wasn't there.
Oh.
From John Clearwater's book, Canadian Nuclear Weapons, The Untold Story, as summarized in Wikipedia, quote, through 1984, Canada would deploy 4 American-designed nuclear weapons delivery systems accompanied by hundreds of warheads. 56 CIM-10 Beaumark surface-to-air missiles, 430 MGR-1 Honest John rocket systems armed with a total of 16 W-31 nuclear warheads the Canadian Army deployed in Germany, 1,080 nuclear W-25 Genie rockets carried by 54 CF-101 Voodoos, those are planes, estimates of 90 to 210 tactical 20 to 60 kiloton nuclear warheads assigned to 6 CF-104 starfighter squadrons, about 90 aircraft, based with NATO in Europe. There was a lack of open sources detailing exactly how many warheads were deployed. End quote. So that's not exactly firecrackers.
No, sir.
Yeah. So a man I used to work with in the Bridgewater Cemetery, he was a former member of the Canadian Air Force, Royal Canadian Air Force.
Yeah.
And he was stationed at CFB North Bay during this time. And although he wasn't a technician or directly involved with the maintenance or possible launch of a nuke, he was security for those people who oversaw those things.
Oh, wow.
So he was working with nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here in Canada, on
yeah.
Canadian soil.
Well, and I can remember in the early 80s, my mom would take me to protests.
Yeah, because your mom and dad are both pretty politically active folk.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very,
Damn
very.
hippies.
Yeah, right. That explains me. And so my mom and dad would always take me to these to rallies and marches, and I can remember going to a couple of getting nukes out of Canada. And, I was very young.
I remember the protest against the cruise missile tests in Alberta in 1983.
Okay.
I don't
remember that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like 14.
Yeah.
Canada was officially disarmed in 1984, but we still fall under that umbrella of nuclear protection, being a NATO nation.
Yes.
Not only was Canada home to nuclear weapons, a team of scientists in Montreal were instrumental in assisting France and Britain with their nuclear programs through the development of a superior method for the extraction of pure plutonium.
Oh, okay.
So, we helped those two nations become nuclear.
But spoiler alert, it was all a trick, and all those, if those nukes exploded, just Poutine would shoot out of the bombs.
I hope that would be the case.
Yeah,
it would be just Poutine and gravy, cheese curds.
It would actually bring peace to the world.
But I doubt that's actually true.
Poutine peace.
Kids growing up today train for active shooter drills in their schools, while we lived in the era of mutually assured destruction. fearing that our planet would be vaporized at any time by the sheer number of weapons that would be released if a nuclear war started between the U.S. and Russia. And it was a real fear that we had.
I shit you not, especially the movie The Day After. I literally can remember living in fear that this was a possibility for quite a while, that nuclear destruction was an absolute viable possibility. It was the Cold War was a pretty scary goddamn time.
I actually collect nuclear war movies. And TV shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. I have a whole whack of them on.
Do you have The Day After?
I do.
I'm going to need to watch that.
And I have Threads as well.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that one? The British
No,
one?
because that was like aired once, wasn't it?
Yeah. I have a copy of it.
It was just so terrifying.
Yeah. But there's a bunch of them. There's one that's really moving, which is about a British cartoon of an older couple who are living in rural England, and the bomb goes off, and they're essentially trying to survive this. It's probably the most heartbreaking thing that I've ever seen.
Oh, we need to sit down and have a nuke day.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
In 1951, Archer Productions was hired by the U.S. Civil Defense Administration to produce a film for children.
Oh, okay.
It was an animated film called Duck and Cover, in which Bert the Turtle taught kids and adults what to do in the case of an atomic blast. It's now public domain, so we'll share a link to the entire thing in our show notes.
Yes, please.
Here's a little ditty that starts the film.
Dum dum, diddle dum dum, diddle dum dum, diddle dum dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and cover, duck and cover.
He did what we all must learn to do. You
and you
and you
and you, duck and cover.
It's terrifying.
Nuclear. Yeah, fuck every time. Nuclear.
Yes.
Yeah, I just damn you, Bush. You used to always say nuclear, and I just okay. Anyways, that just sounds fun. Nuclear destruction sounds fun.
Well, I don't think it really is, and that's so creepy.
And cover.
It's really creepy.
Yeah, incredibly.
So the film goes on to describe an atomic bomb blast. Let's hear how that goes.
Kaboom.
We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous. Since it may be used against us, we must get ready for it, just as we are ready for many other dangers that are around us all the time. Now, we must be ready for a new danger, the atomic bomb. First, you'll have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. You will know when it comes. We hope it never comes, but we must get ready. It looks something like this. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. If you were not ready and did not know what to do, it could hurt you in different ways. It could knock you down hard or throw you against a tree or a wall. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings and knock signboards over and break windows all over town. But if you duck and cover like Bert, you will be much safer.
So let's scare the shit out of the kids. That's number one.
He totally neglected to mention you will probably be vaporized.
Well, if
you're ducking and covering.
Ducking and cover means nothing if you're that close.
No, it does.
He's talking about somebody within the...
No, it's totally. You could be like a block away from the epicenter. If you duck and cover, she goes right over you.
Well, okay.
Yeah, if that song has taught me anything.
Well.
Duck and cover.
Oh, God.
Oh, my. What a...
Next, they describe what radiation burn might feel like and what you should do to prevent it.
Oh,
Guess what? It's
informative.
Duck and cover.
Duck.
But here you go. Let's listen to this.
You know how bad sunburn can feel. The atomic bomb flash could burn you worse than a terrible sunburn, especially where you're not covered. Now, you and I don't have shells to crawl into like Bert the Turtle, so we have to cover up in our own way. First, you duck, and then you cover. And very tightly, you cover the back of your neck and your face. Duck and cover underneath a table or desk or anything else close by.
Does this guy give you the creeps?
Oh, completely. He's getting a lot of joy out of this.
He's just, yeah, don't worry, just duck and cover and
make
everything.
sure you cover the back of your neck.
Yeah, with your hands, which will be radiation burned, and you'll lose them to some sort of weird cancer.
But would you rather lose your hands or the back of your neck, Mike?
Well, I don't know. The back of my neck is sort of fat. Wow. I could oh.
That's... make sure you cover the back of your neck. It's like Phil Hartman doing a skit.
Hey there, Bobby. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And this is like dead serious.
Oh, absolutely.
Dead serious.
Yeah.
So after another few minutes of terrifying discussion about nuclear war, the film ends this way.
Well, I guess there's some ducking and or covering.
I bet you there will be.
But there might not be any grown-ups around when the bomb explodes. Then you're on your own.
Remember what to do, friends. Now tell me right out loud. What are you supposed to do when you see the flash?
Duck and cover. Duck and cover. Duck and cover.
So not only will there be a nuclear blast, your parents won't be there. Oh, my God.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
This is horrible.
Oh, my God. So you're going to, like, if you survive, if you've properly ducked and covered,
like,
you're on your own. Live in this post-apocalyptic world on your own, Timmy.
I wouldn't be comfortable playing this for your 12-year-old. Like, seriously.
Yeah, the terrors you would have, like...
It's just horrifying.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder kids are so messed up now, like, with all the talk about, like, the environment and everything's going to come to an end soon, and, like, oh my gosh, what a thing to put on kids. Anyway.
But...
It's true.
As long as you duck and cover.
As long as you duck and cover. You can't fine. Duck and cover from the climate.
No, I do. I apply it to every aspect of my life. The moment I detect fear, or I get fear, I duck and cover.
Duck and cover.
Yeah, if I think my boss is upset at me, I duck and cover.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's somebody yelling on the SkyTrain, on public transit,
duck and cover.
I duck and cover.
There you go.
Yeah. So far.
It's a thing.
I've made it.
Yeah, you made it this far. You're 46 years old.
Yep, and doing well.
Ducking and covering.
Yeah. I suggest you all start ducking and covering.
Duck and cover.
Anytime you feel at all threatened.
Although Canada no longer has nuclear weapons on our soil, there are 8 countries in the world: USA, Russia, UK, France, China, India, Pakistan, and North Korea with the declared nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
It's suspected that Israel has the bomb too, since as early as 1960, but they haven't officially declared this. And South Africa had some, but has since dismantled them, and it's believed that other nations, like Iran, are working toward their own bombs.
For the most part, just like super stable countries.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, nothing, like, the U.S., I feel completely comfortable.
Well,
with them having.
The threat isn't over yet. As of 2018, thanks to the failure of world leaders to deal with looming threats of nuclear war and climate change, the doomsday clock sits at 2 minutes to midnight.
Great.
Putting us the closest to mass destruction since 1953 and the USA's Operation Ivy thermonuclear tests.
I mean, I don't see any problems arising from the dick wagon between Russia between North Korea and the U.S. Like,
yeah,
no, I couldn't feel more comfortable with the state of nukes these days.
Is there anyone insane enough to ever push that button?
No, not this day and age. We've got. I trust these leaders, Mike.
All of them.
Most
stable folks ever.
Yeah. Stable geniuses, even.
Yeah. We'll repost a link to Nuke map, the one that we had in the Tunguska event.
That was great.
Yeah, so you can see what the effect of a nuke of any size would be on your hometown.
It's comforting.
Yeah, you can play around with different yields of nuclear weapon.
It's really comforting to know the many different directions you can die.
Yeah, totally. All the different things that can
Yeah.
happen
Oh, if it
to you.
lands over there, dead. If it lands over there, dead. If it lands over there, dead.
Yeah.
Just
Sleep well, kiddies.
Yeah. Those thoughts rock me to sleep every night.
Yeah, so that's it for this week's story.
Yeah. That's a dilly of a pickle we just went through there.
A dilly of a pickle.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We didn't get any voicemails this week, although I had a few weird messages. One was about seagulls, which...
What?
Anyway.
What?
And another one was saying that we were probably going to be responsible for multiple deaths.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that on the live show. Is that the one?
I don't want to get into it.
That's quackery.
Yeah, it was very bizarre.
Wow.
So if you want to leave us a voicemail...
Speaking of quackery...
you can do so at 604-595-2448. And yeah, we'll play your quackery, unless you're really rude. If you're rude, we won't do it.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
it depends on
maybe that'll be more fun. Yeah, if it's like
Mr. McGillicuddy.
Yeah. But
He hasn't called back.
He hasn't?
No. I'm kind of surprised,
I
Sunshine
probably
McGillicuddy,
I probably broke him.
when you called him Sunshine.
Yeah, he probably went on a rampage.
He's
that
probably
we don't
waiting
know
for you in
about.
a bush.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah, or he just he's just still sitting in the exact same spot doing this.
You're actually making a face just like I'm sure he looks.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And a reminder, and we'll remind you again, we are going to be having a live show at the Vancouver Podcast Festival on November 9th at 10 p.m. at the Rio Theater. Please come. Get your tickets at the Vancouver Podcast Festival website. Please come.
Please.
We'd love to see you there.
We need to see you there.
Yeah. We want to say thank you to a couple of folks.
Some great folks.
We're remiss because we got these magnets from Jess Huey from Clemenson, South Carolina, a little while ago.
Yep.
She made these herself out of pottery.
Yeah.
And they say dark poutine. She gave us a green one and a brown one.
And I've got one on my fridge.
Oh, you've got one on your fridge?
Yeah, there was three.
Okay, there were three.
There was three. I didn't just give you.
What color is the other one?
I don't remember.
Well,
I think it was I think it was two of the dark blue ones.
Oh, there you go. And so she says, Scott and Mike, thank you so much for all y'all do. Absolutely love the podcast. I feel like we've been friends for ages. Just wanted to send you a couple magnets. I made more goodies coming soon. Yeah. Jess Huey from Clemenson, South Carolina. Thank you so much, Jess. These are awesome.
She is really talented.
I love these.
She's got an Instagram page dedicated to her,
I
her
was looking at
pottery and
that,
stuff.
yeah.
She's a very talented cat.
So thanks, Jess.
Yeah, go. I sorry, I don't know her page off. Her Instagram page off my.
Send it to me and I'll post it in the show notes.
Yeah, because you should really check it out and buy some of her stuff.
And we got a message from. We got a message from Jillian Adair.
Yeah,
she lives in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
I always have a warm spot in my heart for Winnipeg.
And she writes, Mike and Scott, I'm so in love with dark poutine. I have an hour commute to work every day. Listening to you guys really makes my day. My cottage is in Whiteshell by Falcon Lake. We did the UFO Falcon Lake episode.
Yeah.
So I'm at Falcon often. I loved your episode on the UFO, so when I saw these, and they're two magnets that have Falcon Lake on them, and a picture of a little UFO,
with the date on it,
I knew I had to send them to you both. Hope you enjoy. Keep up the great work. You make weirdos like me very happy. Jillian Adair.
As I tell my daughters, it is a badge of honor being called a weirdo.
Oh
now.
my gosh,
yeah. So
I would have been much cooler today, I think, than I was when I was a kid.
Oh, absolutely!
I was a fucking weirdo.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, I would have thrived.
Yeah, I think you and I would have been like the prom queen and king.
Yeah, together.
Together.
Yeah, well, that'd be lovely, Mike.
Whatever floats people's boats.
Yeah, I have a boat.
I
almost got a
thought
boat.
about getting a boat, but I don't need a boat.
It's podcaster life.
I don't have that much money. No, there was a sign on a friend of Dad's boat that said, a reminder, a boat is a hole in the water into which you throw money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah. So before we go, we want to give some shout outs to our Patreon patrons.
Yeah.
This week, we have one from a place I don't think we've had any others.
Oh my goodness, where?
It's Hannah Smith, and she's from Singapore.
Sounds like a traditional Singaporean name.
No, it does not.
Wow.
So she's probably okay. Hannah Smith. She's probably Russian. Emigrated to
Singapore?
Yeah.
From Russia?
I guess so. Smith is a very popular Russian
Sure.
last name.
Smithsky.
Smithsky, I drink. David Menzies from Victoria, BC.
Oh, yeah.
David, we didn't see you at our meetup.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, didn't see me there either.
Well, that's because you jammed out.
I had a thing.
But thank you so much, Hannah and David.
Yes.
We very much appreciate that.
Yes.
We've got a bunch actually from British Columbia this week.
Represent.
Nicole Brennan from Coquitlam. And that Coquitlam is one of my favorite name places to say.
So I may have brought this up before, and I'll bring it up again. So you have Burnaby and Coquitlam. They're right next to each other.
You get Burquitlam.
If you're kind of in the middle area, you say you live in Burquitlam. Why wasn't it called Coquitlam? It's a legit question.
I don't know.
Anyways,
Dania Avery from New Westminster, your old stomping grounds.
My youngsterhood.
Your youngsterhood.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's where I spent my youngsterhood.
New West was the first capital of BC, right?
Yeah, the Royal City.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dania. Amy Yusefian from San Francisco, California.
That's the place I want to go.
I want to go there too.
I want to go to San Fran.
Carol and I were talking that we should be going to California next because we've done Vegas 3 times now. Mm-hmm. We haven't done California since 2001.
Do it.
It was even before 9/11 we went to California.
I've never been to California aside from us in LAX.
Yeah. LAX stinks.
Yeah. That's the closest I've been in Cali.
Is that what? Yeah, we had a good time in LAX.
It was just so pleasant. So much seating available.
I hate that place.
So much seating available.
Oh my God. Yeah. Catherine Catalano. But yeah, San Francisco, I want to go.
Yeah.
Because it's all hilly and nice.
Yeah.
It looks sort of like Vancouver.
They should put that on the brochures. It's so hilly and nice.
Hilly and nice. Catherine Catalano from St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, Catherine.
And your Blues were just in the White House there the other day.
Oh, were they?
With the Stanley Cup. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, they won.
Did they?
Yes, Scott. They won the Stanley Cup this year.
We've talked about my falling out with the NHL.
Yeah. But yeah, so congrats to the St. Louis Blues, and thank you, Catherine, for supporting our show.
Very much so.
Stephanie Godden from Burke, New York. I don't know where that is.
No, well, I know it's in New York.
It is in New York.
That I get.
So you can be guaranteed that is in New York State somewhere.
I'm going to think that it's in the South-North territory.
South-North?
Yeah.
West-East.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it is definitely there.
Of New York.
Of New York.
State.
Yeah. Victoria Grande from Richmond Hill, Ontario, and I don't know if that's just grand with an E, but I wanted to say Grande.
It's my favorite size of Starbucks.
Grande?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine too, actually.
Yeah.
I don't like venti because then I have to pee for 3 days.
Yeah, it's excessive.
20 ounces is a lot of coffee.
Well, and I like to get 2 Grandes in a day. To get 2 ventis, like that's just all done.
You're asking for trouble.
Very much.
Yeah. Maddie Meredith from Los Altos, California. That sounds like a great place, too.
It does.
Los Altos.
It does, yeah.
Thank you so much, Maddie.
Yeah.
Los Altos.
California.
Los Altos, California. I wonder what Altos means.
Shoes.
No, that's Zappos.
Oh, that's close. There's a toast in there.
No.
Yeah.
I think. Zapateria is a shoe store. So, yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Look at me. That's the only Spanish I know.
We're reverse engineering the name.
Los Altos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like San Diego.
Yeah.
It does not mean Wales. No. Hoo-hoo. Like Ron Burgundy said.
Oh.
Yeah. Kelly Graves.
Yep. From Sudan.
She's from Sudan. Wow, that's our first Sudanese patron. Thank you very much, Kelly Graves.
Yeah, it is. It is. What she does there is pretty exciting.
The Graves?
No, Mike.
Okay.
Preposterous.
What does she do?
She's a news anchor.
She's a Sudanese news anchor.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that...
They're probably looking for... She's probably a diversity hire.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so. But however she got the role, she just kicks ass at it.
Oh, yeah.
She is great. She doesn't speak...
She was the most qualified for the job.
She doesn't speak the language at all.
Oh, that's problematic.
At all.
Does she just, make weird gestures at the screen?
No, she just does it in English.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then they subtitle her.
They subtitle... Exactly.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, because, that just makes sense.
Yeah, why would you hire somebody who doesn't? Anyway.
But, as far as English-speaking Sudanese
news anchors
There's no
go,
other
like Kelly.
Top of the charts, Kelly. Top of the charts.
Top of the pops. John Greenwood from Wesley, New South Wales in Australia.
I don't know why, but I was really hoping you would say John Greenwood from Brownwood.
From Brown? No.
So, yeah.
He's from Aussie. He's an Aussie.
Yeah.
Hello, nice lady.
Are you a bedwetter?
What a box. Teresa Dixon from Manning, Alberta.
Oh.
Thanks, Teresa, so
Teresa.
much.
Yeah.
Manning, Alberta.
Yeah.
I've never been to Manning, Alberta. I've been through Manning Park in BC.
Have you been to Peyton Manning, Alberta?
No.
You should
I
go.
hear he's got a lot of Super Bowl rings, though.
He does.
Carolyn Norwood from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Correct, Sidney
and
Crosby.
the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, there's a lot of Pittsburgh.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep, a lot of Pittsburgh going on.
There's lots of Pittsburghian.
Yeah, they've had some good sporting teams.
They have had some good sporting teams.
Yeah.
I used to like the Pittsburgh Pirates
because their hat,
baseball hat, the one with the
yellow stripes around it.
Yeah. I loved that hat when I was a kid. I don't know why.
And the same here. I loved it too. Maybe it was just black with yellow stripes going around it.
It was oldie time too.
Very oldie.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Carolyn.
Very much so.
Cynthia Casey from Van Nuys, California. I think of souped-up cars when I think of Van Nuys. I don't know why.
That's a great thing to think of.
I used to have a magazine that was all about hot cars, like drag racers and hot rods and stuff like that. I read and they were always talking about Van Nuys.
Yeah. Did you know my new car has a turbo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you told me that.
Just thought I'd bring that up.
Thanks, Cynthia Casey. Caitlin Payne from Covington, Kentucky.
Covington,
Kentucky sounds like a place that I should go.
I'm just going to say, I hate Colby Covington, who is a UFC fighter.
Okay.
I don't know if...
I don't think he's related to the actual place, Covington, Kentucky.
Mike, I just felt like I needed to bring that up.
Leave Caitlin alone.
She's
very nice. She's become a patron.
This is not about Caitlin. My hatred for Colby Covington.
Yeah.
Caitlin, you rock, though.
There you go. Case Evans from Seattle, Washington, just over the border. I love some Seattle. Case Evans.
Right?
Hey, this is Case Evans on CKAA.
Speaking of news anchors.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Case Evans.
This is Case Evans coming at you. That was AC/DC. Next up, Aerosmith.
Just the bands.
Dude looks like a lady.
You threw a little Australian into that.
What?
He did.
Dude looks like a lady. Oh, well.
Some southern.
So thank you, Case Evans from Seattle. Stephanie Pierce from Toronto, Ontario. She upped her pledge. And I said Ontario because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, jeez, Mike.
But it's not really terrible because you were just there and you loved it. And I... From Toronto, Ontario, upped her pledge.
That is awesome.
I love Ontario.
I would like to go someday.
I've been there, and I used to poo-poo it, and I love it now.
Yeah, I've grown up with a lot of despise of it just because it was, you think you're better than Vancouver.
It's not true.
You think you're better than Vancouver.
They don't.
But I'm sure it's actually
They're
just
nice
a great
people.
place. I'm sure it is.
Catherine Lico from Norwich, Ontario. Another Ontarian.
Norwichian.
Yes, exactly. And Stacy Rogers from Toronto, Ontario.
Any relation to Buck?
Buck Rogers?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Well.
So Catherine,
American
Stephanie, and Stacy, all those Ontarians.
In a row.
In a row, thank you so much.
Wow.
Muchos gracias. Or as they say in Ontario, thank you. It's what they do.
Well, yes.
Eh? Alexander James. He's from Farringdon, England, and he upped his pledge too.
Oh, sweet sassy molassy.
So thanks,
Thank you,
Al.
Alexander.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Yeah.
And Sarah, last on our Patreon list is Sarah Major.
Oh, okay. Yes, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Where's Sarah from?
Oh, Sarah. You don't know where she's from?
No.
Oh, Nepal.
Oh, she's Nepalese. That's
She's-
interesting.
yes,
Okay,
she's
what does she do in Nepal? Is she a Sherpa?
No, she's okay. She doesn't. I don't want to ruin her gig.
Okay.
But she's a hustler. She's a pool hustler.
Oh, she hustles pool.
Yeah, I don't.
Good
I hope
for
I'm
her.
not. I hope I'm not
Good for her.
Pool
hustling is a tough gig.
It is, and she's extremely successful at it. She watched The Color of Money.
Oh, the Paul Newman, Tom Cruise,
and was just
outing.
like, this is my calling. This is my calling, and boy, is she ever hitting home runs. I know it's a different sport, but you know what I'm saying. She's a hustler. She's a pool hustler, a pool shark.
She's a shack.
Yep. Yeah, and she actually only has to. She's so successful at it. She only has to play one game a year.
There you go.
Yeah, it makes big bucks.
That's
just
fantastic.
from that one game.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a good gig she's got going on in Nepal.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's where people don't know, but Nepal is like the hub of pool.
We did get some donut money.
We did?
Yep. From Regina Fogarty. And I don't know where Regina's from. Oh, wow. She's from Tipperary in Ireland.
Whoa.
It's a long way to Tipperary. I always say it takes a long one to tickle Mary, but anyway, that's because I'm dirty. So Regina says, or it might be Regina. Could be.
I'm not going to weigh in.
She says, sending this small token with my best wishes. If you're sick of donuts, feel free to spend it on some of those heavenly maple cream biscuits you have over there. Yeah, I like those too.
Yeah, wow.
I truly appreciate how you cover some very grim subject matter with compassion, sensitivity, and openness. All the best. Regina from Tipperary, Ireland. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you so much, Regina.
Much appreciated.
That is super kind.
Monet Terrio sending us some more donut money.
Again. Wow.
She just keeps it up.
That's ridiculously kind.
Thanks so much, Monet.
Yeah.
Monet must be rolling in the Monet.
Oh,
it's going to stop now, isn't it?
Oh, God.
That was dumb.
That hurt me.
That was really dumb.
Yeah.
I am so sorry.
I'm just mad that I didn't say it first.
You're mad that you didn't say it first?
That's really what it comes down to.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So this one is a weird one.
Oh,
it's from somebody named Sarah Long, and I don't know whether she's tall or, she's long.
Okay, yeah.
Sarah Long.
Yep, Sarah Long.
Sarah Long.
Is her last name Johns?
No.
Oh.
No, she's just Sarah Long. She said you don't have to say my name, but I'm saying it because it's Sarah Long.
You said it.
I'm saying Sarah Long.
Shit.
I did. I said it again.
Multiple times.
She said, what she wants to do is say, hey, Jessica Hodges from Keokuk. And that's in Iowa.
And classic Jessica.
Yes,
her.
You. Go shit in your hat.
Yeah. Take a big steaming shit in your hat. The steamiest of steamers.
And then pull it down over your ears.
Yep.
And what does Jessica Hodges do for a living?
Oh, you're not aware?
No.
You don't know what she does for a living?
I haven't a clue.
Oh. Well, okay, it's not all that glamorous. It's not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is she a garbage lady?
And no, you're close.
Oh, no.
There's a toilet cleaner.
She cleans toilets?
Yeah. But, I mean, it's steady work, Mike.
There's lots to be cleaned.
Yeah.
And so does she have like a little van?
She does.
That she drives around? And
She does, yeah. Well, a large van, because she has spare commodes, just in case.
Whoa, so she installs?
If need be. That's how dedicated she is to her craft.
You know what? It sounds like shitty work to me.
Again.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
Jesus.
sorry, Jessica Hodges.
But, I mean, like I said, it's a...
But,
people will always shit.
Well, she's got shit in her hat because we told her to go.
Well, I
shit in her
know.
hat.
That's why...
So she's probably
I was
good
a
at
bit
cleaning
I don't
it
know if we
anyway.
should say that to her, but, because she's a bit sensitive.
It could be
around.
offensive to her.
It could be offensive to her, or she could just be like, yeah, no big deal.
No big deal. I shit in my hat. There's more than shit in my hat. I got shit on my hands, got shit on my knees.
We'll see what I'm getting at. So it's like, whatever, that's not an insult. Sure, I mean, that happens to me 3 times a day. But steady trade.
Steady.
She owns her own home. Like, life is good. But, yeah, it's not glamorous. But, still. Good on ya, shit cleaner.
There you go.
Yeah.
And here's one. I don't know if she wants us to read this, but I'm going to anyway.
Oh.
Because she's awesome. This is from Jessica Heron. And she says, "Hi, Mike and Scott. I used to be a Patreon patron, but then my husband got laid off and we struggled to stay afloat for a bit. And you know what? If you can't patronize us, just keep telling your friends about us. Seriously.
Yeah.
Anyways, because I'm so sorry about my Patreon lapse, I wanted to send you a PM amount worth of donut money.
Oh.
I truly appreciate your podcast and the Umberyard. I'm a long-time listener, so I naturally re-downloaded my favorite episodes for recent trips to Toronto to meet with the Canadian PM.
Wait. Oh.
So she met Trudeau.
I think I was following some of this story of hers on the Instagram.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So there you go. And she says, "Thanks for all you do. Go get some donuts or poutine or something." Jessica Aaron, Cold Lake, Alberta.
Wow.
You know what, Jessica? Thank you so much.
Incredibly. Yeah. And from what, if I'm thinking of the right person, what a fascinating, I think she went there for the CBC. She was like a citizen who went to go and be interviewed and met the PM and then watched the debates for
Wow.
if I'm thinking, I'm pretty confident it's the same person.
Cool.
And that was just really awesome. It was really neat to kind of follow that. And well, thank you so much.
Neato.
Yeah.
Thanks so much to our patrons, past and present, for your pledges. We really appreciate your support of the show. Really, really, really.
Really.
I don't want to use the word really, but
you just did.
We really do.
Really.
If you want to help support us, you can do so at patreon.com/darkpoutine, or for a one-time support, you can email us, or you can PayPal us some donut money at darkpoutinepodcast@gmail.com. If you don't already, it would mean a lot to us if you subscribe to the show. You can easily find us on Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, or wherever you get your on-demand audio. Check out our website, darkpoutine.com, for show notes and other cool stuff. Please give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for Dark Poutine. Most importantly, tell your friends about us. Word of mouth is a powerful thing. Until next week, don't forget to be a good egg and not a bad apple.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, and don't nuke anyone in the meantime.
Please. And if you find the plutonium,
just give it back.
Just give it back.
Just give it back.
It back.